good? This is the Rapper Weed, and I'm here exclusively today with two of my favorite engineer, producer, artists extraordinaires. They are amazing people. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. We're gonna start with Illusion. To my left, go ahead and just give them a quick spiel of who you are.
You didn't have to ask.
No, there's no S at all.
I'm a mixing engineer and producer here in Miami, Florida. I go by the name Illusion. Pretty much it.
Okay, and to my right, I have Brandon, who is also known as MiamiBeatWave.
Yes, sir. MiamiBeatWave, producer engineer out of Miami as well.
Okay. So I guess the first question to kind of just get it out of the way, which would probably be like the same normal question that every interviewer would ask, it would be, how did you guys know that you wanted to get into music? What was like the moment that really struck you and you were like, you know what, being a doctor or cutting grass or whatever the fuck it may be is really like not for me. I want to be an artist. I want to be a producer. Like, what was the first moment that hit the eureka?
I don't have the patience to be a doctor. If I did, I would be. But whatever, At the end of the day, for me, it was started early. My grandma played organ in the church for 20 years, so I was constantly watching her. She put me in music, and then from there, I stopped it at a point where it was like not cool to be a band geek or whatever when you're younger. Back in the day, it wasn't cool to be in a band. Now it's cool to be in a band and be a geek, right? But back when I was growing up, it wasn't. And then eventually, maybe around 10th grade, 11th grade, I started to build a home studio in my crib and started loving it from there. I started recording rappers around my block, and I was like, yo, this is really what I want to do, and ended up going to college for it and started making a career out of it.
Got you. Did you graduate and get your degree in?
Yes, I did, from Full Sail University,
okay.
Associates in Science.
Nice.
To be specific.
For me, it was pretty much back when I was in middle school. I had these two close friends of mine, best friends of mine for like 16 years. And we used to walk back and forth from the bus stop all the time. And one of them really liked to freestyle. And then the other would beatbox. And like, I was so entranced by this. Like, I would watch them as I'm walking home from school every day. And I was like, yo, I would love to participate, but I just had like no musical talent at that time.
Got you.
So it was just so frustrating because I was just like, yo, this is so cool, like just to see them go. And one day I was sitting at home, I was watching MTV and I saw Run DMC Walk This Way. And it was the first time I'd ever seen like a DJ scratch, like on a record.
Got you.
And so I'm like, oh my God, the third piece, you know what I'm saying? Like we had the beat guys, we had the rapper, I could be the DJ, So I started looking up equipment and stuff like that. It was really, really expensive. My family was like, yo, we'd rather get you like a gaming console PS2 because it's like, it's way cheaper.
There's a Game Boy.
Yeah, because exactly. Like you're talking about a turntable at that time, direct drive turntable was like $300 a piece.
Gotcha.
Plus a mixer and everything. My stepfather had found somebody that, a coworker of his that actually used to be a professional DJ and was selling his equipment and offered to give it to him for a really low price. So I started DJing, and that's really how I got into music, and that led to becoming, an engineer and producer and things of that.
When did you guys start your professional career? Like, what was the age that you actually started, like, you know what, I'm going to take this really serious and full time?
Full time. I would say I knew that I wanted to do this in my adult age, and I guess freelance, and I was doing a lot of like side projects. So it was always like a supplemental income for me, side hustle.
Got you.
So I always made a little bit of money from it. So I mean, once you get paid from something, you're considered a professional. But when I actually decided that it was going to be a full-time career, I was working at Best Buy at the time, and I went through a lot of crazy stuff. It's kind of a long story, but essentially I got demoted. A lot of horrible things happened to me, but it led me into this position to one day this guy walked into our store and he was looking to buy a hard drive, a really expensive hard drive. I was prepared, I had business cards, and I was like, hey man, you're saying you do music, I'm an engineer and producer. This guy ended up giving me a call, and they ran like a small company that did like product placement and like major film. And they also, one of the owners used to work for a large record company, and he was really trying to like push his new artist. So they offered me my first like professional job in music, and they were like, look, we'll give you a salary, we'll give you an actual contract, we will take you away from what you're doing now, and you can make this a full-time career. So yeah.
So how did you lead away from doing that and getting into music?
What do you mean? So like, how did I get away from the label into like music myself?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll be honest, the experience of being signed to a label though was great because I went from literally working at Best Buy 24/7 to now like I'm getting put in Circle House for the first time, being bought these 12-hour blocks to mix records I produced and that I was recording. You know, it was pretty incredible to me. I was like, oh my God, my first day at Circle House, I met Pharrell. You know what I mean? It was like I was just like blown away by the whole experience.
Yeah.
So at first I was just entranced and trying to work hard and felt like if I paid my dues, everything would be great. But my experience wasn't too good with the company I was working for. They were slave drivers, honestly. And it was so bad to a point that like, I didn't even want to play the keyboard anymore. I wouldn't even want to touch or make music because I just felt like I had somebody over me that was dictating my sound, dictating my art. And it finally reached a last straw with some really ignorant comments that were said to me. And I walked out and I'm like, I'm not going to do this anymore. And at the time I had made a lot of changes to my personality. I made hip hop. They had me making EDM music, dressing in skinny jeans and like had long hair. It was pretty crazy. Like I looked like I was straight out of Tokyo Drift. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was hilarious. But that was the time when I went away from that and I actually quit that day. I had to make a choice because I had no other, supplemental income. So I had to make a choice. Do I go back and work in retail, which I was, I had a career in, or do I take this seriously? I just worked a whole year in this profession doing this exact thing that I love to do. How could I go back and work a regular job? So that's when I decided, hey, no matter what the situation is, I'm gonna be an engineer. This is what I want to do, and whatever comes with that,
Out of all the music that you guys work on, what is really like to you at this point in your career? Because I'm pretty sure it started differently and over time it's grown. But at this point in your career, what's the music that like really drives you to work on? Because I think in Miami, a lot more engineers than now are expected to be hip hop engineers. But in reality, most of us kind of love
Which we
different
both
music.
are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I still,
and we're known for.
But I still imagine that you guys don't just love hip hop.
I mean, to me, honestly, like at this point in my career, I've done rap and hip hop or urban music for so long, and I always have a love for it. And it's few and far between that I see something that like just blows me away. But nowadays, like I'm more well known for working with vocalists. I do a lot of rock stuff now, a lot of alternative music. I do a lot of R&B. That's like, a lot of the decent singers in Miami, at least. I've done something with them, recorded, mixed them, or done some type of production for them. So I've had a lot of fun with vocalists, and that's where my passion lies right now, making R&B music. You know what I mean? And not just necessarily R&B, but alternative vocal-based music. I think there's room for that in hip hop as well. But as far as like being able to plug up and mic up some drums or like,
so you like the whole live atmosphere of recording?
Yeah, I do.
Well, there's so many engineers that are only experienced in the box.
Right.
So for them, that would be like the ultimate nightmares for somebody to say, "Can you like mic my drums?"
Yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, it was intimidating for me as well as somebody who didn't go to school for like engineering. Is like you research as much as you can and you do your best that you can to try to figure out like exactly what's going on and how you need to go about it, like worrying about phase, worrying about mic placement. So it's a lot of different things that you're not taught, that you just kind of have to do guesswork with it. I think in this profession, at least being an engineer, the engineering side of it is it's all about trial and error.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So, and I think kind of expounding back what we were talking about before is like, not just believing in your talent, but I believe in hard work. You know what I mean? Like, because hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So if you're both talented and you work hard, that's how you shine.
That's the ticket.
Yeah, like,
he said it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
So I mean, and I think it's all about belief in yourself. I mean, there's definitely times that I thought about just giving up. I was homeless after I left the label. I was like, dealing with family pressures, dealing with life pressure, and like realistically, there was times I'm like, yo, this is not it. But like the hustle continues, and it gets to a point where, the money just comes in. There was times where I was concerned, if I don't book this session today, if this person cancels, I can't pay myself.
Of course.
Or I can't eat today. And
we know how many artists cancel.
Yeah, you already know how it goes. So
5 minutes before.
Yeah, or 10 minutes after.
30 minutes
Yeah,
after.
10 minutes
I'm
after.
just letting you know I'm gonna be late, and then they call you 30 minutes late.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make it. So I mean, there was times where it went from that, but then slowly over the years, you stop worrying about. Like,
Yeah,
you're like, hold on, my. And I think about that now, and it still amazes me that I come to work, I do what I love to do, and my bills are all paid. Like,
Gotcha,
I haven't worried about like, oh my God, am I gonna be able to pay my rent?
Yeah,
And that's the
Like,
real
you know what I
goal.
mean?
Yeah.
For any
Facts.
musician.
Yeah, you want to be comfort. You want to have comfort so that you can have the
Exactly.
freedom to create without stressing about what's
Exactly.
being. If you're not worried about the lights, then you're focused on the music.
I'll tell you a quick story so it doesn't get too sad. But the first time that I was like, okay, I know I'm not quitting this shit, was my son had heart problems when he was born, and I was in the hospital for, a couple months trying to sort it out. And I brought my MPC in, I brought my speakers in, brought my turntable in, and I was doing a song for Rick Ross at the time and Scotty Boy, and some other beats for some other artists, and I think a video game at the time. And the nurse would come in at 5 a.m. and she'd be like, "Yo, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm working. I gotta work." Because, seeing my son like that and being in the same room and just being like, "Yo, there's a bigger purpose. There's a bigger thing here." You know what I mean? There's something that I'm blessed with. You know what I mean? That I need to give to him, and I need to keep doing this no matter what. The way that he's fighting, I gotta fight for my dream too. You know what I mean?
Facts.
So that I can fight for his dream.
Facts.
And then I just, from there, started banging out in the MPC right there in the hospital room. The nurses used to look at me crazy. It was wild. At the end of the day, all the tracks came out. All the stuff was dope. Of course, I brought it back to the studio later and whatever.
Yeah,
but I'll never forget that feeling of like,
you put the most intention into it.
You were really in a bad place. You know what I mean? And music is there to help you, number one. But if you're going to disregard it, music can't help you. And at that moment, when I was at one of my lowest, I didn't let music disregard me and just focus on what was bad going on. No, I put that pain and I channeled it into something right there in the moment and made that music that I made at the moment. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And that was the first time that I was like, okay, obviously this situation says I'm not going to quit.
Got you.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
To sum up the question.
No, definitely. But that's like, that's for a lot of artists, a lot of producers, a lot of engineers, like what gets us through is the music. And it's like, at the same time, I always consider us responsible for people's life. You know what I'm saying? We create the music and the themes that people live by. A lot of people that are depressed listen to the music that brings them up.
And the artists that hire you and come to you, they're putting their life, in their eyes, their music is their life, and they're putting it in your hands. You know what I mean? So now you kind of like, okay, I owe this a justice to do this right. You know what I mean? If you have any type of love for your craft,
Facts.
That's what you would do for somebody if they're giving you their life passion in their hands. And I think that's something that we experience all the time, constantly. Somebody coming, even out of the blue, I don't know who you are, just calls Illusion up, calls me up. Yo, I want to see this project out. Okay, well, let's start with what we're going to do. What's the concept? What's the whole...
Yeah, facts.
And we shape it.
All right, quick answers. Best DAW.
I use Logic.
Pro Tools.
Best microphone.
For vocals or for what?
Okay, well, favorite microphone for vocals. Yeah, correct.
I like the TLM49 that we use here.
Okay.
If I had a choice, probably right now, I mean, I like the Sony, the 800D.
Oh, I knew he was going to say it.
Or if I had a choice too, like one of the Telefunken. Everything I've heard from Telefunken is great.
Okay.
This is a good point.
What speaker brand?
Oh.
For me, that's a hard one.
I know,
that's a real difficult one. I mean, I'm gonna just go with Yamaha. I learned off NS10s. I learned off HS8s. You know what I mean? That's what I've been mixing off for years.
I'm gonna go the same way, but I like the Genelecs we have here too.
Yeah,
I love Genelec. Like
Focal makes
it always works out.
As well.
Yeah.
Rapper or singer?
Singer.
Both of you said that super fast.
Yeah.
Why singer?
Pulls my heartstrings. I need that. I need that soul. If I don't have the soul, I mean, only certain rappers will give me that soul, and that's difficult and hard to come by. So if I can get the singers, I'll work with the singers. Also with the vocal production, doing the harmonies, finding the fifth to something that we're singing, and the bottom note, and doing the octave above, and all that type of vocal production is exciting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Compared to, okay, we're going to get the right rhythm, we're going to get the right rap, we're going to get the right words. At least to me.
Can we fix this, please?
There's no dynamics in rap music anymore.
Cut.
Nah, don't cut.
There is no dynamics in rap music at all, so it's not, as an engineer, I mean, it's not challenging.
Do you feel yourself inputting more with rappers lately than you used to?
I think that that's always been the job, at least in the hip hop world. Like, people expect your engineer to also be your producer. A lot of people get that fucked up. They don't really understand that engineering is one job, producing is another job. So I mean, nowadays, if you're gonna book a studio, they expect engineer producers. If you're not wearing both hats, most people are gonna leave and be like, yo, I don't feel like I should go back to that studio, because they don't feel like they're wanted. They don't feel like you cared enough to say anything. But then there's also the other, you know, it's a double-edged sword here, you know, you're talking about, because you have the artists that don't want you to say a goddamn thing, just want you to hit record. So I mean, it's hard to decipher between the two, but realistically, nowadays people want engineer producers. So regardless of what session, rap, singing, doesn't matter. If I don't give my opinion, I probably wasn't vibing with that client. So they probably shouldn't book me.
Don't book me. Don't book me either. Now, at the end of the day, will you do that and then you still only get your engineering credit, but at the end of the day, you didn't get your vocal production credit. You didn't get this type of credit. You get what I'm saying? With the world that we live in today, with the streaming, without the credits in the back, and all that stuff. How do you feel about that? My bad.
No, but that's
because this is something I go through all the time, doing drops, filters, and people's beats,
and they don't
doing vocal production while they're recording. And this is all something a producer should be there doing.
Well, I don't know if you notice, a lot of the records that I engineer per se will say producer on them. Now here's another touchy subject that you guys maybe can help answer. Sometimes the artist won't put the person that made the beat. It'll say produced by Dashius Clay. Now, how would you feel in that position if you were the engineer producer, not the beat maker? I'm asking as an engineer producer.
Okay, so I'm the person taking the name as opposed to the producer.
The guy who made the beat.
You're not the beat maker.
The guy who made the beat.
You're the producer and the engineer.
Yeah.
You
the vision. He made it happen.
Exactly.
He made it happen. Which in reality,
we do a lot of.
At the end of the day, it's the job we signed up for.
I love this question.
No, this is just it. It's the job we signed up for. If you're doing production work and you choose to do that without any prior agreement with the artist, then guess what? You take the zero. If they decide to give it to you, then they're gracious people, to be real. Because if you're going to do any type of work and you really want to be that strict about how you're working and how you're giving advice and stuff, you're never going to have clients as an engineer, in my opinion. You're never going to have clients, period. Because at the end of the day, people are going to think, oh, no, this guy goes straight for the publishing check, or go straight for the money. Like,
I'm asking more for credit. I'm asking more for credit though. So for example, put yourself. I'm the artist. He's the beat maker. You're the producer engineer. He's at home. Me and you are here working on the track.
Yeah.
Now I put the record out and it says produced by Illusion.
No, I would never do that.
And I would never not be here.
I
was here the other day. Look, this is what example.
I'm asking.
You're asking that situation
because in reality, sometimes a beat is just
a
beat, and then we completely turn the record completely around and 360 that into a hit.
Okay, so
does that mean you don't deserve the credit, or does he not deserve the credit, or do you both deserve the credit? Produced by Illusion and MiamiBeatWave, or is it? How do you feel about that?
How I define that is by how I was hired to do the job. That's it. Like, what am I being hired to do? You know what I'm saying?
What you agreed upon up front.
Exactly. What did I agree upon up front? Because at the end of the day, the producer who made that music, in a publishing sense, they made the music. So if they want to, they get that 50% of that music creation. Okay.
Correct.
The writer wrote the lyrics, so they get that 50% of that songwriter's credit. At the end of the day, if you signed up to be an engineer, right, and you add drops or do any of that stuff, guess what? Work for hire.
Right. Okay.
Unless pre-negotiated.
So then, how do you feel about people like Diddy and stuff like that basically will say produced by Diddy, but there's also 12 people in there.
But that's the thing. There's
also 12 composers, writers.
Okay, I get that, and I understand that. The thing about this, DJ Khaled, Jermaine Dupri, Diddy, one of the best.
You can go down
executive producers, and that's my goal. Honestly, I can honestly tell you that's my goal as an overall music maker, to be a good executive producer. Knows how to use people to facilitate a final product. So at the end of the day, people that say, "Oh, DJ Khaled, oh, what does he do? He doesn't make the beat." Well, first of all, DJ Khaled used to make beats. Second of all, even if he's not making the beat, he's curating the record. Right. So yes, I do feel like there's a job for producers, but when it comes to people booking studio time and us altering it, yes, we're playing that role.
The thing is, I feel like back in the day when I first started, I would sit behind the board and there would be a producer behind me that would go, I want it to sound more open. I want the vocals to be more compressed. And I used to take it in the sense of, I'm an engineer right now.
Have you ever got
Now
I want it to sound more purple?
Now we cut that engineer out, and
Okay,
we're the
that's
engineer and
Guess
producer.
what? But it's 2019. That's the issue. It's 2019, and at the end of the day, people don't have producers anymore. The big budgets. That's why studios like Mixmaster and myself are succeeding. You know why? Because a lot of people aren't going and spending the big budgets at these large facilities that are charging $100 an hour.
Yeah.
Because they can't afford it.
Right.
So at the end of the day, a lot of these young kids don't even know what the producer role is. They think that's what the beat maker is. No, the producer is the person giving you direction the entire way of the song. And a lot of these guys don't know that. So it's the job you sign up for.
I look at it as the beat maker is the musician.
Yes.
The producer is the one who oversees the finalization of the record.
At the end
That
of the day,
is the true
to answer
title.
your question, they should both get credit.
Okay, I like that answer,
know?
and I agree with that answer.
At the end of the day,
It's what, to me, it's like
drum programming by this person, keys by this person.
It just
But
depends.
you can't
by
fit
the
all that
process.
on artwork.
How
You can't
much-
fit
Yes,
all that on
and that's
how
why I was
much-
going back to the streaming and what
How
what
much
it
are
is
we
now.
changing though? That's what I'm saying. If I'm adding a drop or if I'm completely rearranging the record, it's different.
I agree.
I'm going to tell you right now.
think
the
arrangement is a
clients-
big thing.
The clients that I work with, unless I'm producing the record, I'm not making alterations like that. A drop here, a filter here,
Yeah.
an arrangement change here, some vocal production. Look, a lot of these clients don't know how to do harmonies. I know how to teach them how to do and find what they're looking for.
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and take part of their publishing because I helped them get a better sonic,
Okay.
overall product. You know what I mean?
No, but that's but listen, this is why I asked you guys both to be here, because I know, like I was telling you guys earlier, the contrast of careers, angles, perspectives, history. You know, like it's
Okay.
it's
Question.
important.
Quick question.
Mhm.
Do you call if you somebody had to tell you can only pick one profession? What are you?
Record producer.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Somebody asked me right now what I am. I'm an engineer. You get what I'm saying? So I have a different perspective.
okay, so see,
that's what I'm
that's-
saying.
Right.
Like I'm an engineer.
Now,
that's what I do
listen, but
professionally.
now-
Now, day to day, I make most of my money off of hourly engineering that I do. But here's a quick example. The other day, we're doing a record for Fly Guy. I produced a beat, right? But Fly Guy wanted Illusion to mix it. So I came over here, and while he's mixing it, I'm sitting right next to him. You get what I'm saying? But I made the beat, too. I'm telling him, yo, when we recorded it, this is how I hear the hook. This is how I hear this. This is how I hear that.
But that doesn't always happen.
Yes, which we're talking. So,
That's what we're talking about.
all right, beat makers.
But I'm saying the difference in perspective.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
No, and
Like,
I agree with
yeah.
both. I actually agree with both sides, because it makes sense, and especially with you saying what you see yourself as in title wise is engineer. It's almost like how what was this guy Nirvana's engineer? How he only takes his hourly wage. He takes 0 royalties, because in his perspective, every artist he works with, he's just an engineer. Not saying that you do that.
Okay.
And then there's other producers like Puffy who will literally just come in and probably, haven't been with Puffy, but I'm just saying, like, there's other producers that you hear that'll just come in and be like, that's fucking raw, turn the sound up and walk out and take the production credit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And now the question to ask before
but they also did take the
before-
time to build the team. So I see
Right.
things.
It's also
Now,
it's
before-
like, I really don't see it going down like that though. Like I mean, I've seen videos of Puff in the studio for hours.
I hate that I use
And,
Puff.
and before he
just-
was there, the question is, before he was there, was he making calls and listening to the beat in the car and saying, I should put this artist with this artist, and now I'm making the calls to put this artist with this artist, and making it actually happen? Now, you're in a producer role now, making it happen.
Now that's kind of the point. So look at the stuff that I do as far as the records that I release. You know what I mean? That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm showcasing my executive production skill, because not only do I make the beat and compose the music,
select the artist.
I select the artist. I choose the arrangement. I make sure whoever's involved, whether it be guitarists, bass players, they're all professionals that are going to give me the sound I'm looking for. And then I go and mix and master the record. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, like, that's me showcasing my resume and say, hey, look, I'm good at executive production. But like, that's not me saying, hey, I'm a great engineer. So I get the whole purpose of these guys and what they're standing.
Gotcha. You're saying every situation has its
exactly.
That's
What
a
did
fact.
we agree to?
Gotcha.
What am
There
I
you go.
here for?
Okay. So
what did we
bottom
agree?
line, bottom line,
I agree with
and that's a
that.
great
Yeah.
way for people that are upcoming engineers to understand how to play their role, because there is a blurred line a lot of sessions, and I feel like you're right. That should be probably handled and spoken about before it even starts. Is what is my ultimate goal here? What is my ultimate role? regardless of if you're engineering or producing, like.
And my bad to cut you off, but you know what you get what I get the most is, don't worry, the producer ain't gonna mind. And I try to explain to people like, yo, I don't want to step on nobody's toes.
Okay.
I'm changing this man's music. I'm putting drops. I'm putting filters. I'm doing whatever I can with the 2-track that they gave me, depending on what they brought. You get what I'm saying? I'm still doing that or arrangement, like Illusion, which is a huge thing to me. If you do an arrangement, that's a huge thing.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, I get people that come in and they're working on these tracks, and realistically, like my goal is to try to make it sound as best as possible, and I think that's what everybody's doing when we go into the studio and we're working. It really depends on the beat maker, how involved they are,
Right.
And what's going on. And one of my clients, I'll tell you, they're really good about this. They bring work for hire contracts. They let you know right there, you are the engineer.
And
what's your
that's
title?
somebody.
Yeah, that's somebody like protecting their investment.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
You don't want to be down the road. All of a sudden, this is making $1 million, and somebody pop up and go, "Well, I did this, and the third."
Yep.
Well, now those artists, now that artist is left vulnerable, because if they can prove that in some capacity, hey, you might lose money. So that's what I'm saying. To me, it's all about what did we agree on. That's it. Like, I don't mind doing the job even if we don't agree to it, because I know these artists need help. Independent artists are sitting out here struggling, and if I see somebody that has potential and I can guide them or help them produce them out, give them ideas, do what I'm expected to do, that's what they're looking for in an engineer, and that's what keeps clients coming back. That's
Facts.
simple.
Okay.
Facts.
You have one plugin to use. What is it? Your go-to plugin that you're like, man, this is my number one bullet every time. I don't fucking live without this fucking plugin.
Fuck, bro, that's difficult because I live with a bunch of plugins.
No, I feel you, but what? Okay, let's
I'm
start
gonna
with
need-
it.
I'll
Let's start with
probably-
EQs. EQs.
I'll
What's
probably
your
say I would have to say the SSL strip from Waves. I would have to
for
because I
EQ?
need it. I mean,
For
I need
vocals.
it.
For vocal
I mean, I can
EQ.
compress with it too. Just the whole strip. Like if you're talking about just one, I only
No,
have
no,
one.
I'm saying EQ. Let's start with EQ.
EQ, go to EQ. If I had to pick one forever and ever, I'm going with Q6.
Mine's a Poltec
Okay.
from UAD. Yeah,
See, I would have gone with the API 560.
there you go, a Neve.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at that. I
Okay,
ain't mad at
compressor.
Compressor, go to compressor forever and ever. I'm LA2A.
that. Same here. That's an easy question.
Damn. I would have gone with the CLA 76.
You see, that's just is different from us. But it's all good. That's why I like it.
Reverb.
Oh.
Altiverb.
That all depends.
Altiverb? I've yet to use that.
That all depends.
It's disgusting.
It all depends. Just like we were talking about recording a live band, depending on what live room I'm in.
Vocals.
And
Vocals.
If it-
Rap vocals.
It doesn't matter. If you have Altiverb, you literally have the god of reverbs. There's nothing. It's like all of the
what about a
reverbs
room
bow.
that you're recording in the actual natural reverb or whatever room we're going to or whatever?
Altiverb can make that. How about that?
I get that. I understand that. I understand
What makes
that.
Altiverb?
I'm a little bit of a purist.
Damn, I forget the name of the company, bro. It's like $1,000. It's actually what they use in a lot of film. That they have like the reverb from a 747,
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Gotcha,
Like
gotcha.
it's
Yeah.
real detailed. It's great. It has a lot of really
Which
dope
one did you
things.
say?
No, I didn't. I said natural reverb.
Natural reverb.
I'm more organic with
Got
it.
you, got
But
you.
no. Of course, I mean,
But plugin.
I use a simple space designer with a certain other EQ and a certain other things I do to it. But
All right.
depends on the music, to tell you the truth, because there's a lot of rock music that I've done, and a lot of gospel music that I've done that I've recorded live, the choir live and the guitars live and everything. And if you start putting reverb on the shit on top of the reverb that was already from the room, you're gonna start hearing the crazy. That's not good for me.
Got you.
So sometimes no reverb and just what I recorded in the room. But vocals, like you guys were saying, all dry. I use a space designer and start fucking with it basically.
Okay. Delay.
Echo Boy.
Echo Boy.
A straight tape delay.
Straight tape delay.
Yeah.
All right. Have you guys always?
Is he got an ADAT player?
Dude,
Where's your
this is
ADAT player?
what I'm over here like,
My
I'm
life
like,
is old,
I'm like,
bro.
yeah. I'm like, you're going really fucking old school with this stuff,
Right.
like
Damn right.
Yeah.
mechanical about this
I
shit.
mean, we used to have a tape, like 3 tape machines in here, but
I figure if it's not broke, don't fix it.
he ain't run his shit. You ain't going to no studio and doing that. Where are you doing that at?
What do you mean?
running a tape delay.
tape
No, my tape delay. I'm talking about in Logic.
What plugin? Oh,
It's called tape delay.
Oh, it's just a Logic plug.
He said plug
That's why I
in.
was like, yo, all right.
Yeah,
Is the
like-
question not plug-in?
Yeah, but you
okay.
can't. I thought you were
niggas
fighting
are-
us. I was like,
I thought he was too.
I thought you
No,
was
no,
being
no,
rebellious.
no.
Okay, yeah, Logic.
Not like
Logic.
a.
I want
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this man really out here.
Tape delay.
This man really out here doing that.
No, no. You know me. You watch me. I'm still. You know.
Look, man, I don't
No,
know Logic,
if-
so excuse me.
At the end of the day, I mix a lot in the box. I do. Everybody does. I mean, at this
What
point, I
makes
think
you use Logic of all the?
I used it before I got Pro Tools certified. Before I graduated university, had the certificate, all that. I used it before that. Like I said, when I was in my room, when I was younger, and and had nothing, and I just grew so far into it. I'm just that's my fastest weapon. So
You don't find
I
that
never
headache?
changed it.
You don't find it a headache
Never. No.
with 95% of the world using Pro Tools?
Oh, no,
That's
well-
not an actual number.
Well, yeah. Well, the actual number. Well, what's funny about that is DigiDesign and Pro Tools have a huge monopoly on America.
I'm good.
But when you go to Europe, and I've done some records in Germany as well and stuff like that, everybody is using Ableton or Logic. Everybody, there is no DigiDesign Pro Tools. You get what I'm saying? I mean, there is, but in America is where it's the most. You agree or no?
I don't know. I can't tell you that statistic.
Well,
I know that
from-
Europeans definitely use Logic more.
A
and
lot.
Ableton
I'm
more.
talking
I
about.
don't
It
know
was
the
mind blowing
percentage,
to
though.
me. It was
Yeah.
really mind blowing how much of a
Yeah,
monopoly
no,
DigiDesign
I couldn't.
had.
I couldn't walk into any major studio in America and not be able to work. That would frustrate the fuck.
I guess
out
I'm
of me.
talking internationally then.
It's okay, man.
All right.
Like he said 95% of the world.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what the percentage is. I would love to
I
know.
know that
but
the
you
rest of the world
you know what
uses
number
Logic
one,
and
You know what the
fucking
number
Ableton.
one DAW really is in the world, though? It's FL Studio.
Hey, you ain't wrong, right?
No, it's
That's
FL
probably true.
Studio.
That's
It's
probably
number
true.
one DAW.
And
in
on
the
your
world.
phone too now.
Yeah.
You can do everything on your phone. That shit bugs
It's
me
pretty
out.
crazy.
All right.
Pretty
Speaking
great.
of coughing, do you guys smoke while you mix? While you record, or do you not? How do you know when?
I'm a smoker. I smoke all the time.
It depends.
If the client doesn't smoke, do you smoke?
It depends.
Probably not. No, just a business thing.
If the client passes you 20 blunts, do you smoke?
No. Not all. the
How
time.
many do you smoke?
It depends.
Okay.
I mean, till I feel nice, you know. Till I feel nice and good to go.
Why Raws? Why not grabber? Why not backwards?
Oh man, well, I'm raised in Dade County, so I've been rolling Dutchess my whole life, and I just got to a point where I just like the taste of the weed more than the taste of the tobacco, and I just roll papers.
Okay.
I don't know how it happened, when it happened, but it happened a couple years ago. But for 20 years before that, I've been rolling Dutch Masters or Garcia Vegas, anything
Garcia
like
Vegas, Jesus.
that.
To go with the tape deck. Why
The tape delay.
why backwards and not
The
not
tape delay.
papers?
Oh man, thicker smoke. To be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. If I'm smoking anything out of papers, or if I'm hitting it, I don't feel like I'm smoking. Like cigarettes, you know how it is. Like the pull from a cigarette.
Of course.
it's the same. It's the same feeling.
Yeah,
like,
it's a bit more
yeah.
burn.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
It's a
like,
harsher.
Yeah. You feel like you're smoking, but when you're hitting the paper, you're smoking it, but you don't really feel it as much. I don't know.
Got
That
you.
makes sense.
My last two questions. Give me somebody that's real, either influential or contributes a lot to your career that probably doesn't get the credit that they deserve.
In the background, or you mean like artists that I've worked with?
Either way, just somebody that you want to kind of shout out that you want to thank or something like
Yeah,
that.
I want to shout out Coach Nim. You know what I mean? Because I think that what I'm doing with him and Dead Prez is very influential. Because what it is basically branding the fitness as a new element of hip hop
Okay.
through the music, and it's already been happening for a couple of years, and I've been a huge part of it. I just recorded Stickman and Coach Nim's both second albums, and I feel like that's a new wave of fitness and hip hop, and something that's new and that the people need.
Okay.
So and you know how everybody's into vegan and fitness now. It's beautiful that they're not now making it an element of hip hop, and it's something that I've got to be a part of, an actual new element of hip hop.
Okay. What about you?
What was the question again?
Basically, is there anybody that's instrumental in your career that you like to shout out and thank that probably doesn't get the credit that they deserve?
Yeah, if I had to, where the hell did he go? Oh well.
How do you know it's you?
Well, yeah, there's two. He was gonna be second on the list. There's two people that are instrumental to my success. Ralph, my cameraman who walked out, He literally from the jump, like since I started producing and since he's been more involved in my career, has really led me to the promised land. A lot of the really big popping acts that I worked with, he was originally, before they were blowing up, he was like, yo, you should go reach out to this person. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have met people like Denzel Curry or, you know, like Young Simi,
Gotcha.
a lot of these guys. He was really like, or Prez P, you know, like as they were doing their thing, he was like, yo, go check these guys out. He would bring me to all these parties. He would introduce me to all these people. And like, he really made me a little bit more well-known because he worked so hard like that. And then of course, I can't forget Dave, because Dave is my assistant. Dave pretty much is my right hand. He helps me run day-to-day activities here. He basically makes sure that I don't lose my fucking head, because I'm literally get a little over anxious sometimes. And, you know, he really makes sure everything stays organized and that things get accomplished. So, I mean, those are the two guys that I have specifically that, you know, a lot of people don't know, but without them, like, there would be nothing that I'm doing.
Yeah, you need a good team to really run things smoothly. All right, last thing, how did they reach you? And is there anything that you've got coming up that you want to let them know about?
Oh, at MiamiBeatWave on Instagram, Gmail, Twitter, all of it.
Okay. Anything coming up?
Oh man, I got so many projects I'm working on. One is the fitness one I was talking about with the Prez and Stick. That's coming out. Also, more singles with Cash. I got let me see. Oh man, what am I working on? Oh, we got one with V-Rod and featuring Gil Graff. That's some Spanish stuff. I'm switching on to the Latin side. I love all that type of stuff that we're doing. And then the next record coming out is me and Dashius, because he's already heard like 5 joints that he wants to take. So I know you're gonna do it after this.
There you go.
Now that it's on camera.
We'll make it happen. Now you put me on spot.
You owe me a record. Yeah, we don't have time. No one has time. He don't have time either. I invite him to the studio all the time. Don't have time.
No,
You
listen,
see?
Nobody has time.
we're
It's
starting
okay.
to make time.
Yeah,
it's
you
okay.
see? We're finally here together.
Yeah.
Excuses.
No.
You can find me at Mixed by Illusion. Everything's Mixed by Illusion on social media. Website mixedbyillusion.com. Right now I have a new tutorial platform I'm doing on YouTube. I'm going to be giving information for producers and engineers, just kind of giving you game on, you know, like the engineering aspect, how to, you know, be a better engineer and how to get your stuff right. You know, we're going to be doing studio vlogs as well, showing you the day-to-day activities that happen in the studio, just so you can get an idea of what really occurs. A lot of people think it's a party in the studio all the time. Yeah, hilarious. That's like the biggest misconception.
Because it doesn't look like a party in here right
it's
now.
normally like a couple hours in, most people are bored.
If you can see this, there's like 6 people in the back, and they're just like,
He's been looping the song for 3 hours.
Yeah,
yes, we know.
What is he
Thanks.
doing?
Yeah, well, we don't hear a difference. Okay.
I'm working on a new album with Ronnie VOP called 305 AM EP. I'm really looking forward to that. There's a new record I have with Iceberg featuring 2 very special people. I can't say who, but you know, it's going to be a really, really dope record. I'm really trying to bring back that whole Miami vibe. Yeah, that's pretty much it right now. I mean, there's a bunch of other albums. I'm sorry if I didn't mention you. It's not that I don't care.
I'm on the same tip.
Yeah.
Shout out to the rapper weed.
Yeah.
there you go. I appreciate you guys for being here and
Yeah, you know.
inviting us to the crib and making it happen. So the rapper weed, make sure. I do want to bless you guys with our new pre-rolls. Lucky Luciano, which is one of our favorite selections that we've picked up. So
This the fire. This the fire is weed I've been smoking. Let me tell you what.
thank you, man.
Let them know. I gotta let them know that. Let them know
Listen,
that.
we tell everybody always we want all the smoke. Rapper weed. Stay blessed.